Hey class, my name is Hector. Thank you for clicking on my video. To start off my speech, I will be quoting C.S. Lewis, the famous British author, where he states, "Faith, in the sense in which I am here using the word, is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted in spite of your changing moods." And I think C.S. Lewis was trying to bring about how once we believe in something or have faith in something internally, it's always there. It's just a battle between how we feel and versus the external. And it was very interesting the way he talked about faith because it's somehow what I resonate with. It's how I kind of view faith. It was always there, but sometimes it could be very buried deep because of what's going on in the outside world. And today I'll be talking to you about the cultural artifact that's shaped my faith despite what's been going on outside in my external world. And a lot of people have struggled with loss, breakups, and grief, especially amid the pandemic. And I was in that position a few years ago. So I hope to share my story, and I hope that it inspires others about how I chose to heal. First, we'll talk about the loss I had, the lifestyle I was choosing during the pandemic. Next, I'll talk about what inspired me to think about the cultural artifact I have today. And then lastly, I'll inspire when I actually obtained it. So to begin, amid the pandemic, I was going through a lot of heartache, a lot of loss, a lot of grieving. Within the same year, I had to mourn the loss of my grandfather and my uncle, which to this day, my family still feels the effects of, even though it was 3 years ago. And the year after those losses, I also had gone through a bad breakup with the same woman who was helping me grieve. So that breakup was definitely the catalyst for my downhill emotional spiral. So around that time, I was just very grief stricken. I was hurt. I was hurting. I had a big knot in my chest. And now that I've shared some background about my distraught and grief, there's a small fire or voice inside me that was telling me I could heal, just find the way. So I started beginning to find my way. Then that's when I stumbled upon the Bible app. I've always dabbled with the Bible app over the years, but it was at this point in my life that the Bible app was the only thing that interested me. It was the only thing that sparked my curiosity. It was the only thing that, that kept me going. However, I was still in unhealthy environments. I was around people who would kind of criticize me for reading it, criticize me because that's all I talked about or that's all I knew about. And I felt that really affected my grief even more. It actually led to another spiral with my on and off relationship with drugs and alcohol. And even after still facing doubts about faith and lacking the discipline to read and wanting acceptance from people around me, I still found myself compelled to pursue religion, or in this case, Christianity. So the last compelling I had, even when I was going through all these emotions and unhealthy coping mechanisms, was to buy a physical copy of the Bible. I know it's weird. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go do it. Let me hear out this inclination I have in my spirit or in myself. And that's when I chose to buy this physical copy of a Bible. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. And for some reason, once I actually bought this physical copy, no matter where I'd go, whether it was in my backpack or in my car, where I was at work, school, or just driving around, it brought me a strange source of strength. It brought me a strange source of acceptance because I could just read it whenever I could. And once I finally got to the position where I first opened it and I first read it to myself, despite what everyone around me was thinking, that's where I gathered my strength again. That's where I started to find myself again. And it was interesting because one of the first stories I read in this Bible that really resonated with me was the story of David. So in the Bible, there's a book called Psalm, Psalm. And that book in the Bible is basically all the songs that King David wrote. They're not like in lyric sing-song form. So if you read it, you're going to be like, what? These are lyrics? Yeah, believe it or not. And one of the songs or chapters I read was a song where David's talking about how alone he felt, how outcasted he felt, how hurt he was, how his mind and his body was hurting, his heart was hurting. And he's just reaching out to God and he's just venting to him, basically. He's not really cursing him or anything. He's just venting to him. And it's funny, when I was reading that, that's where I felt I didn't feel alone anymore. That's where I felt like if David was going through this so many years ago, so long ago, yeah, I'm reading it now and I could resonate with every word he's saying. I was like, I don't feel alone. I didn't feel outcast anymore. It didn't bother me anymore what people thought around me. It reassured me. It reassured my faith. It reassured my healing journey. That's probably all I needed was reassurance. So that's why this Bible is my cultural artifact. It represents my culture. And the first thing that came to my mind when asked about an artifact that represents me and my culture was this Bible, because of all those memories, because of all the healing I have and all that. And to end this speech, instead of picking up something that hides the pain or maybe numbs it like I would, I hope you pick up something that heals you from the pain and guides you. Thank you, guys.